Have you ever felt someone disappear from your life, not by leaving, but by becoming quiet inside your world? Like the space they once filled still exists, but something essential is missing. The room feels the same, the days move forward, but nothing lands the way it used to. That's how it began for me. Not with a breakup, not with a goodbye, but with the realization that loving you had changed the way I breathe, and losing certainty about us had changed the way I exist. And if you're listening right now, I want you to hear this as if I'm sitting right next to you. Not telling a story, but confessing something I never learned how to say out loud. I didn't fall in love with you all at once. It happened quietly, somewhere between ordinary conversations and moments that didn't seem important at the time. One day, I caught myself thinking about years from now, and you were already there. Not as a dream, not as a fantasy, as a constant. That's when it scared me, because wanting someone in your future means risking everything you've built in the present. I asked myself a question that felt too heavy to hold. Could I be your husband? Could I be the man you trust your life with? And the truth is, that question wasn't just about love. It was about timing, about stability, about whether I was strong enough to stand in a space where I would be judged long before I was understood. I knew loving you meant facing more than just you. It meant facing the people who loved you before I ever existed. Your mother, especially. The first time I met her, she didn't need to say much. Her eyes spoke for her. They measured, they evaluated, they searched for cracks I didn't know I had. Have you ever been looked at like that? Not with anger, but with protection? It's heavier than rejection, because it makes you wonder if love alone will ever be enough. At night, I couldn't sleep. I replayed the question in my head over and over. Will you marry me? Can I be your future husband? Such simple words. But simple words can carry storms. I imagined your reaction. The pause. The smile you get when you're overwhelmed. And then I imagined hers. The doubt. The concern. The unspoken question of whether I was worthy of the life she dreamed for you. My chest would tighten, like the air itself was asking me to prove something. There was a moment, I remember it clearly, when I almost said it for the first time. We were sitting together in a small cafe. Nothing special, soft lights, quiet music, but it felt like everything mattered. I could see warmth in your eyes, comfort, that familiar spark that made the world feel less sharp. And I froze. Fear has a strange way of showing up. It doesn't always shout. Sometimes it gently suggests waiting. So I stayed quiet. And that silence said more than words ever could. When I finally spoke, my voice wasn't confident. It wasn't practiced. It was honest. Will you marry me? Can I be your future husband? The second I said it, I knew there was no going back. Because once you ask someone for their future, you accept every possible answer. Your response wasn't immediate. And that pause, it hurt. Not because it was rejection, but because I could see you thinking about more than just us. You were thinking about loyalty, responsibility, the weight of expectations placed on your heart. Your mother didn't need to be present to be felt. She lived in the hesitation, in the careful way you search my face. I realized then that I wasn't just asking for your hand. I was asking you to choose us in a world that might not make room for us easily. That's not a small thing, and love doesn't pretend it is. The days that followed were slow, careful. Your mother asked questions that sounded practical, but cut emotionally, about my work, my values, my intentions. I answered with truth, but truth doesn't always ease fear, and doubt began to creep in. Quietly, dangerously. Have you ever started questioning yourself, even though you've done nothing wrong? That's what it felt like. There were nights I sat alone, imagining futures where love wasn't enough, where choosing you meant losing peace, where staying meant tension that never softened. I wanted to protect you from that, even if it meant stepping back, but loving you meant refusing to run. So I waited. Not because I was weak, but because patience is its own kind of strength. When you finally told me you felt torn, my heart broke open. Not in anger, in understanding. You weren't choosing between two people. You were choosing between two versions of your future. I'd asked you something that night. What scares you more? Disappointing her, or wondering forever what might have been? You didn't answer right away, but your silence spoke volumes. Time passed. We still laughed, still talked. But everything felt fragile, like one wrong word could shatter something we couldn't rebuild. Your mother watched, not my promises, but my restraint. And I think that's when she started to see me differently. Love that pressures, collapses. Love that waits, endures. The night everything changed wasn't dramatic. No perfect setup. No music. Just honesty. I asked again. Not louder, not stronger, but steadier. And this time you said yes. Not loudly, but bravely. A yes that understood the cost. Your mother didn't speak right away, but her silence wasn't resistance anymore. It was consideration. And I understood something then that I'll never forget. Love doesn't replace family. It proves itself to them. Walking home together that night, hand in hand, I felt lighter. Not because the future was easy, but because it was shared. And that's what love really is. Not certainty, not perfection, but choosing each other even when the world complicates things. If you're listening to this and standing in the middle of your own uncertainty, if you're loving someone deeply while carrying the weight of expectations, I want you to know this. Real love doesn't demand silence. It doesn't ask you to disappear. It asks you to show up, honestly, patiently, fully. And maybe that's why you found this story, not for answers, but for reassurance. That love, when it's real, is worth the waiting. If this story touched something in you, take a moment and let me know in the comments what part stayed with you. Your words matter more than you realize. And if you want more stories like this, quiet, emotional, honest, follow for more. I'll be right here.